Well, we retreated to 6 goals in this game between the Philadelphia Union and Toronto FC, which I believe this is the first time that we've put a video up on YouTube with the Union actually winning when we break down these goals. So this should be a lot of fun. And on your screen, you have two center backs for Toronto highlighted. They are Lucas MacNaughton, who winds up getting the own goal for Toronto, which puts the Union up 1-0. And then the other center back, Sigurd Rosted. And there was a lot of good from Union on this chaotic play. And you guys heard us talk about chaos on the podcast. And if you guys haven't heard us talking on the podcast, be sure to check that out because Jim Curtin talked a lot about how Jose Martinez, the Philadelphia Union's number 6, needs chaos in his life. But let's get back to the video where you can see a lot on your screen's about to pop up right here. And the Union actually have a really good shape right here. As you can see, you have Julian Carranza, Jose Martinez, Jack McGlynn's on the ball, and Kai Wagner towards the left touchline. And you got 3 players right here for Toronto. And so Jack McGlynn has a lot of options. He can go inside to Jose Martinez. He's going to play the ball to Julian Carranza, or he can play it out wide to Kai Wagner. And this is basic training ground stuff. You see it if you grew up playing soccer, where the coach puts out 4 cones and you're making a square. The Union have terrific shape right here, keeping that square, where they have 2 Toronto players sucked into the middle, which, like I said, gives Jack McGlynn multiple different passing angles. He goes to Julian Carranza, and again, just look at the Union keeping their shape. I know there was a simple pass. They did not get away from their shape. Now you have 2 Toronto players that absorb onto Julian Carranza, where Julian's just going to play the ball square to Kai Wagner, where, if you wanted to, he had a ton of space to play that ball into Kai Wagner, and Kai Wagner is just going to go ahead and receive this pass, and he's just going to play the ball down the line into the channel to Julian Carranza, and we see a lot of these type of runs on the right side of the field from Ali Bedoya, and during this game against Toronto, Julian Carranza made a few of these runs and was able to get in behind the Toronto defense pretty easily. And so on your screen, you also have, again, MacNaughton highlighted, the guy who scores the own goal, and then you have Sigurd on Mikael Uhre. Uhre's going to make a run towards that near post with Julian Carranza making that run into the channel, which forces MacNaughton now to chase Julian Carranza, which now opens up for a whole bunch of chaos to happen in the box. And just look at that. I mean, a ton of chaos. What an own goal right there for Toronto to concede. We'll go ahead and rewind that again. Just the shape. I think this whole play starts with the Union shape, where they keep that square, and Jack McGlynn, ton of passing options. Julian Carranza receives the ball, and now he can square it to Kai Wagner because he has 2 Toronto players go on to him. And now Kai Wagner, if he receives that pass, he has the option to run into that space, or he makes the right pass and plays the ball into the channel where MacNaughton has to shift and go out wide. Now he's out of position. If Daniel Gazdag wanted to, he could run into that space that MacNaughton left, because you already have Mikael Uhre running towards that near post. And it just creates a whole bunch of havoc in the box for the Union. Love to see this, and we talk about the Union getting off to a slow start. That did not happen in this game, and Union get the early lead. All right, so the second goal for the Union comes courtesy of Mikael Uhre. We're going to see Kai Wagner send a cross in here. There's actually appeals for a handball. We'll go back to this play in a second, slow it down to see if it really was a handball. And VAR never went to look at this because the goal was scored, so there was no need to go back. And so the Union are just going to go ahead and recycle this ball. Jacob Glesnes to Jose Martinez. This is kind of poor in my opinion from Insigne. Should have closed down Jose Martinez a lot faster. This ball probably should never have came in. And MacNaughton is going out with a header with Jack Elliott. Highlighted on this play is Mikael Uhre, who's going to get his first goal of the game. As we all know, he scored his first career hat trick with the Philadelphia Union. And MacNaughton actually heads us back, and this was funny right here. This guy, pay attention when we rewind this video, or you guys can pay attention now if you don't want to pay attention to what's happening on the field. This guy stands up when Sean Johnson and Julian Carranza collide with each other. He's shaking his hand. I don't know if he's trying to say a penalty. I don't know if he's trying to say there's a foul on Julian Carranza. The ball went out of play. I don't know, but watch this guy. Look at him, just shaking his hand. No, no, no. And then you still see him. You still see him. And now he's celebrating like, yes, a goal. But how unfortunate is that for MacNaughton, who conceded yet again another own goal? I know they gave the goal credited to Mikael Uhre. We'll go ahead and play this without any pauses. Recycled from Jacob Glesnes to Jose Martinez. It's a great ball in by Jose Martinez. Mikael Uhre. This guy again. Ball stays in. I mean, that's good awareness from Julian Carranza to not give up, and same with Bedoya. And Mikael Uhre, nobody I feel like was aware of him, and he just plays that off of MacNaughton. And like I said, you know what, let's go ahead and slow this down for a second to see if that was indeed a handball. We'll probably have a couple rewinds on this, but Kai Wagner going to send this ball in. Nate Harriel's the player who's calling for the handball. When he gets up, actually wins this. And so pause it. It's going to happen right in here. It's going to happen right in there. It's close. Go ahead and rewind that. I mean, there was definitely close. Might have been something there. Super slow. I know it's so hard to tell when you slow things down, but it looks like, let's go ahead and see if we can magnify this. It looks like the Union potentially have a shot. I mean, that's as close as I can get it. Does he have an outstretched hand? Potentially. I don't know, but again, I mean, it doesn't matter if VAR doesn't look at this. Going to be recycled, and the Union wound up getting a goal on this play. All right, so this is the third goal of the first half. Mikael Uhre's second goal. And we saw a lot of this in the first half if you guys watched the game, where the Union were just always first to those 50-50 balls. They were always dispossessing the Toronto attackers and midfielders, where it seemed like a lot of that first half was played in Toronto's defensive half of the field, because every time that they would try to break out and pass their way out of trouble, the Union were right there to close them down with their press. And every time the Union would tackle a Toronto player, they'd always come away with the ball. And we saw this too last year, the last game of the regular season between Jack Elliott and Bernadeschi, where Jack Elliott was all over him. And again, you see it right here on this play where he wins the ball off of Bernadeschi, and now this is going to start a quick transition with the Union. And look at this. I mean, you have two players just absorb right on Daniel Gazdag. And this turn from Gazdag, this is world class right here to get him out of trouble. And because of that, now he's able to play Mikael Uhre in. And credit to Richie Laryea, I want to say real quick though, because he does a good job to catch up to Mikael Uhre. But Mikael Uhre takes that touch where Richie Laryea was just running from, and that touch separates him from Laryea. And this is just a really good finish from Mikael Uhre. But this is when the Union are at their best. And we'll go ahead and replay that without any pauses. Jack Elliott on Bernadeschi. Again, quick transition, winning those tackles. And that was the story for majority of this game for the Union. Daniel Gazdag with a fantastic turn right here. And then Mikael Uhre just in all sorts of space. Great touch right here to get him away from the defender. And terrific finish from Mikael Uhre, who I believe had 3 shots on target, and all 3 of his shots on the night resulted in a goal for the Union. All right, so you're going to see the third goal of the night for Mikael Uhre to complete his hat trick, his first ever with the Philadelphia Union. And a lot of people say, the Union don't look like the same pressing team from 2019-2020. That is true, and this is the best example of what the Union have become in terms of how they press teams. They're very selective of what areas of the field they're going to press in. They know the areas of the field where it's going to be high turnovers, where they have the highest amount of success to turn a play over. In the first half of the game, we saw the Union putting a ton of pressure on Toronto as they try to play out of their back, and the Union were successful. So the Union are going to put pressure on here with Jacob Glesnes around the halfway circle. He's going to force Insigne to play backwards. You can see Jacob Glesnes highlighted. He's going to play backwards. Insigne is to Marc-Anthony Kaye. And Marc-Anthony Kaye is going to take a heavy touch right here. And Jack Malin's quick to react to this. He's in good position to quickly transition from defense to offense. And that's how the Union was so successful last year. Just these quick little transitions. And they get another one right here. And this is when the Union are at their best. It's 3v4. You would think that Toronto have this covered. They have the man advantage. But the Union do a good job to work this ball. You see Julian Carranza in a 1v1 situation. Gazag's going to trust his attacker to get the best out of the defender. And Mikael Uhre is highlighted on your screen. He's going to make a late run off of Jonathan Osorio after Richie Laryea was caught too high up the field. They were expecting to move the ball from left to right, but Marc-Anthony Kaye took that heavy touch. And so Julian Carranza is just going to send this ball to the back post, and Mikael Uhre does the rest, gets his third goal of the night. But what I like about this is Mikael Uhre right here. Again, he'll pop up highlighted on your screen. You're going to see him put on the burners. He's going to come into the box late, and then for like 2 seconds, then that's when he gets up to full speed, and Jonathan Osorio does nothing about it. He can't do anything about it. It's a great weighted ball from Julian Carranza, and an even better finish from Mikael Uhre to get his hat trick. All right, so here's the first goal for Toronto. It comes courtesy of Lorenzo Insigne in the 66th minute. There's a potential foul here from Marc-Anthony Kaye on Daniel Gazag. He does a good job shielding off the ball, making sure Gazag can't get it. Referee says no foul and allows Toronto to continue to attack. And Nate Harriel right here is highlighted on your screen. I think for the most part, he does a good job defending Insigne. He keeps him in front of him because Insigne wants to go wide, but Nate forces him inside here. He does a good job. This is a heavy touch by the Toronto attacker, and I'll go back to that play right here, and I'll show you guys, because if the attacker would have taken a better touch, look at this right here. Now, go ahead. This guy has got inside Kai Wagner. Kai Wagner is not goal side of him. So if that was a better touch from the guy on the ball, he could just slot that into space, and now Toronto's in with a chance to score. But fortunately for the Union, he takes a heavy touch, and so now he has to reset this play. And again, the Union are fine with this on your screen. Look at how they're defending in this area with Jack Elliott, Jacob Glesnes, and Kai Wagner. They're allowing that space in front of them. They're telling Toronto, it's fine. You're not going to get past this. This is what we're allowing you to have. Andre Blake's able to see between the two center backs of Elliott and Glesnes. So Andre Blake has this covered, and Toronto know it. They're not going to force a shot, so they're going to go ahead and just recycle this ball. And we saw the Union backline a little bit deeper. Now look at them. They pressed up for it. They said, all right, we're going to make sure you keep this ball outside of our 18-yard box. And Lorenzo Insigne, he's already behind Nate Harriel. And so it's a nice 1-2. We talked about Nate doing a good job to keeping Insigne in front of him. But, it's a world-class goal right there. Not many players in MLS are going to be able to score a goal like that. We'll reset the whole play, try not to get you guys any pauses so you can see the whole thing through. But Nate, again, for the most part, does a good job on Insigne here, but you feel like he's toying with imperial. He's waiting for his moment, Insigne, and he finally gets the best of Nate. He times his run perfectly and is able to get in here at the last second, and a terrific one-time finish. And like I said, not many players in MLS are going to be able to finish that playoff like Insigne did. All right, so here's the last goal of the evening. This comes courtesy of Richie Laryea. Fantastic strike again. Both of Toronto's goals that they scored, there's nothing Andre Blake could have done. They were well hit, and I think this is what back-to-back weeks that Richie Laryea has hit potential goal of the week strikes. And so we're going to see this come from a throw in. And the Union's energy seems to have dropped off. They know that, okay, we're probably going to get all 3 points. We're up by 3 goals. We're in stoppage time. So the energy isn't there where it probably should have been. And Jim Curtin's probably not happy that the Union gave up a second goal, let alone they gave up a first goal. But look, there's too many talented players on this Toronto team, so they were bound to get a goal. The key thing was, though, for the Union, they had to get ahead of Toronto early in this game, and they did do that. And Toronto were unfortunate, right? Where, they gave up some good goals to the Union, but credit to them for not giving up in the second half to try to battle the way back, but it was too little too late. Liam Flock's highlighted here on this play for you guys in black, and Richie Larrea's highlighted with the white circle. And Liam Flock does no favors for Jesus Bueno, because Bueno, who is right here on your screen, he has to decide, do I go for ball or do I continue to track the run of Laryea? Toronto puts an overload on the right side of the field, and Bueno's not able to get a foot onto that ball. He commits. He decides, I'm going to go ahead and press that ball, try to win that ball back. Liam Flock should have shown a little bit more energy on this play, helping out Jesus Bueno. Does him no favors. And Jesus, I mean, it's crazy how fast a second will cost you, and that's exactly what happens. He thinks he's making the right play here. He does not. He doesn't get to the ball, and just a terrific finish from Richie Laryea. Again, nothing Andre Blake can do, but the Union won't mind because they win this game 4-2.